That's right.
Sorry,
I saw Mallory yesterday. We went to clean. I got paid this year for bringing it out. It was great.
I had a little stuff. I didn't know what to do.
But they, this whole room. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting. Order. Everyone got their buttons pressed? Okay, first up on the agenda is to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor? None opposed? Agenda is approved, and now we have public comments. I believe we have one person signed up, Jay. Jay, got that.
Thank you. I don't think I'll use up my 3 minutes. I just want to see if we can schedule some kind of workshop or work session to address the recommendations that Equinox made in their report on Pinnacle Park. There's quite a bit of work that needs to be done at Pinnacle Park. And I just don't want the work in season go by us without making a plan on what to do. There, as I see it, there are 3 major things that we need to work on. One is exotic invasives that we need to start eradicating. The other is, the other 2 have to do with the roads. Alan Farmer and I looked at the roads back at the Salt of Black Rock, and the 35 water breaks on in Pinnacle Park on the south side, 29 of them are non-functional. And that's going to be a problem, just like the problem was over on the north side on the newer part, which I reported to you several years ago. And I said, you got to get on it right now or it's going to wash out. And now instead of a $10,000 or $15,000 fix, you got a $150,000 fix. And we probably require a bridge in order to repair that. I don't want that to happen on the south side of Pinnacle Park. And that's a simple matter of getting some equipment up there to dig out those water bars and get them functional again. So again, 29 out of 35 do not function as they were originally put in. And as the report said, the access on the north side, there is no access on the north side. One other place on the road going out to Pinnacle is so bad that you can't access by vehicle out to the Pinnacle anymore, unless it was a dirt bike. So that means if somebody's injured out on Pinnacle, you're gonna have to carry them out by hand on a stretcher. There's no way of landing the helicopter on the old helicopter site city because they're just not cleared out. So I'd like to have a work session with whoever will be designated as being responsible for doing the town's part of that, so we can get moving on that. We had a great report. I think if y'all read it, you know what they said about it and how it's been reported in the press. It's been we've got a gem. Let's don't screw it up. That's all I got to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And on that note, Jay, before you leave, so we do have a meeting scheduled to address one of the concerns, the exotic removal. Sunny Hines scheduled that with Paige and Jake. We were
Monday
scheduled.
at 9?
Well, we were scheduled for Wednesday at 9, but it got moved to Monday at 9, I think, because of the scheduling conflict. But Sunny emailed and said she can't meet Monday at 9.
Okay.
So I think we'll have to reschedule that, but you want
Okay.
to try to do that one.
Yeah.
So we're going to discuss, workload with the crew and what they can do for invasive removal, if we need to find grants for contract assistance with that or not. So that would probably be a good time to just discuss overall work plans for the year Pinnacle for the town crew.
Okay.
Yeah.
On that topic, we've talked with the Pinnacle Park Foundation, as you know, it's talked about volunteers doing some of that invasive exotic removal. So I think that if we just know what we need and how we can, what we can employ to get the job done, we can probably get some volunteer help on that. So that would be.
So once we
Just
figure
let me
out
know.
that date, I'll send you an invite for it.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Okay, any more public comments? We'll signed up. We'll move on to reports. Start with mayor's report. I have nothing to report, so we'll move to commissioner's reports. And we'll start now at that. Yep.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah. I only have one thing this morning. I just wanted to put it kind of on the radar. There will be a North Carolina Affordable Housing Conference in October 23rd and 24th in Raleigh at the Convention Center. And I wanted to kind of throw it out there and see if the board would be okay with me going, to kind of bring back some information about affordable housing and that sort of thing. It says that last year it had over 1,000 attendees, so it should be a pretty great opportunity to network and get some information in the breakout sessions and that sort of thing.
Okay, do you want to send information for that conference to Dave?
Yeah, I can do that.
Info and stuff?
Yeah, there's not, I'll see what last year's cost was. There's not an agenda or there's not much information out on it yet, because it's a couple months away, but I'll send what information I can find.
Okay, yeah, you'll just get, if the board will just give Natalie consensus to go when the registration opens, you can send it to me and I'll register you.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Great.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Just to thank everybody in this room for a very successful Greening Up the Mountains. It was such a fun day, very awesome festival. It seemed like it ran really smoothly and we really appreciate that.
Oh, good morning, everybody. Yeah, I echoed that too. So, yeah, when I got to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, was riding home, there was burn and Jake, I didn't see Jake, but his crew was out there. I know you were probably out there. So, and Chief Hatton's folks were out there as well. So appreciate everybody being up real early on Saturday morning to make that work. Second off, so I was, this is about Sylva Pride. So speaking of Travis, and my understanding for under the new park rental application, that Pride is approved for just Bridge Park and the sidewalks, but not going on the road. Is that right?
Right, we're trying to get away from closing the road.
Okay, so my understanding is, in order for the road to be closed, then we would have to have it be sponsored, the event would be sponsored by the board. Is that right?
Right.
Okay.
So town-sponsored events like the Christmas parade and Greening Up the Mountains, we'll still shut the road down for. But if the board wants to decide to sponsor another event, you can. But just because of the business disruption and staff time, and safety, we've tried to start keeping everything at Bridge Park.
Okay, so our next meeting is May 4th, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to put that on the agenda.
No, May 11th.
May 11th, what I said?
You said May 4th.
That's May 11th, yeah, May 11th, sorry. May 11th, so I'd like to put that on the agenda to have Pride, a town-sponsored event, and therefore kind of look into what it takes to get the road closed and all that. Is that okay with y'all?
Good with me.
Yeah,
Okay, on the agenda, May 11th.
okay, excellent, thank you. And then last thing, just had another thought, I'm always thinking about the closed half of Spring Street. This is more of a question than anything else. So, we've been talking about public art and where to put things. So that half the street is just closed. And if we wanted to make that as a canvas, pre-approved, whatever, art committee approved murals, what would the process be to make it so we could paint on that closed half of Spring Street? You can think about it, but yeah, just wanted to throw that out there, just so that way it becomes instead of just a closed half. Yeah, and then it's something else in the future, can be whatever, but for the time being, we could actually have it something that helps beautify downtown.
I
So
think like the first thing would be to close that section of the road.
is it officially still open? Did we just block it off or is it?
I think it's just blocked off.
Okay,
Yeah, I thought it was before I was here, but I've never seen a resolution to close that or anything.
okay. All right, well, maybe we can talk about that, in the future here, or if Paige, you wanted to do just a little looking into about what that would entail, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would just take a second to echo at least twice what you said about Green with the Mountains. I did see Paige and Jake and Keith Patton and Barn out there early in the morning. And, there's a lot that goes into that. I doubt most people recognize what all goes into that, including myself, but it's pretty obvious that it's a lot, and it was flawless execution from what I saw. I'm sure probably didn't necessarily feel that way every moment, but everyone I saw was having a great time. It seemed very safe, particularly organized this year. I thought it felt like everyone knew where they were supposed to be and what they were supposed to do, which isn't always the case. So great job, everybody. That's all I want to say.
Also echo, amazing festival, well organized, wonderful event. Also want to remind everybody about the bike rodeo this Saturday for our young folks in the area. It's an excellent event for children to get helmets, bikes that maybe can't afford them. There's a lot of bikes and helmets to give away this year. The event typically happens at the rec department. However, with the pool construction, it's moved to Colby Valley School this year, 9 to 1. Please get the word out. We need to get those bikes in the right hands. Thank you.
All right, that'll close commissioners' reports. Manager's report.
Good morning. I also want to echo how great of an event Greening Up the Mountains was. I think it was probably the largest crowd we've had, at least consistently throughout the day. And staff starts coming in at 3:30 that morning, and I think we left around between 6:30 and 7 that night. So it takes everybody to make that event successful, not only that day, but leading up to it. And I want to thank Mark and Tammy Haskett for the excellent job they did as coordinators this year. I thought the event went off the best that it could have. So thank you all. So unfortunately, Lieutenant Bruce Moore submitted his resignation the end of last week. He's going to the Clay County Sheriff's Office. He has commuted from Hayesville for over 10 years. And so we're definitely going to miss him. I think the end of next week is his last working week. And also we need to be thinking about applications for planning board. Alan Brown's family is being relocated to Asheville. So, well, this summer. So we've got a couple of months, but if you know of anybody that's interested, please have them. We've got the application on our website, or if they've got any questions, please refer them to me. I'm happy to talk with them about it. And the last thing is our employee wellness fair with the health department is May 11th, starting at 7:30 a.m. So we'll require all employees to come and do their blood work for insurance. That's all I have.
Questions?
Thank you.
Next page. And public works report.
Morning, everybody. I want to jump on the Greening Up the Mountains bandwagon also. Thank my staff, thank the police department, the fire department, Bernadette, Paige, Mark and Tammy, everybody. It takes a whole village to put that thing on, and it was the most successful one, both from an attendance and an organizational standpoint yet. So I'd like to thank everybody that had their fingers in that jar. Quick update on Allen Street. The rain starting on Saturday morning has delayed fiber optic splicing a little bit. I'm hoping they can get in there and get that done later this week. We do have a schedule of values. Worcester's going back and forth with civil design. We need that before we can start, but you will very likely see equipment out there on Monday. Permitting's all good. Everything's ready to start. Just a few little I's to dot and T's to cross as far as that goes. Paige and I are meeting with Worcester later today to discuss receiving and lay down and how that's all going to look. So that's the next step, but we're very, very close to actually digging. Personally would like to wish Lieutenant Moore all the best in his future endeavors. He's been a very powerful partner, especially with events planning. He works really closely with me and my guys on all these events, and he is an asset and will be missed, but I wish him the best of luck moving forward. Any questions?
I'm sorry, I can't remember. I just want to make sure, which slide are they gonna start on?
They're going to start more above Bryson Park.
Okay,
Right up that prefab wall that you can see kind of, they're gonna grub all the trees and kudzu off. So all that's gonna come down first, and there's some pretty big ones. Then they're gonna start drilling from the Allen Street side from above, right there, and then move generally south.
And will will people still have access to their, like, is the open part of the road gonna be affected much?
It will be as affected as little as possible. There'll be times when they'll have equipment sitting in Allen Street proper. We'll coordinate those disruptions with the residents in there.
Okay, and then you don't foresee, Chipper Curve getting closed down or?
No, especially because it's being used as the detour for Skyland right now.
Yeah.
We won't ever have a complete closure right there. There may be single lane closures from time to time, but that's gonna be as minimal as possible also.
Cool, thanks for all your work on that, I know that's been like, taking a chunk of your time.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions? Police Department.
Good morning, everybody. My turn, to talk about Grand at the Mountains. It's a long day. It's really gratifying work though, when we get to see, so many people come out and enjoy it. So we, many of us started about 3 a.m. to about 16.5 hour day. But it went very well from the police side of the house. Had lots of medical calls, things that happen when you get that many people together, those things happen. But no, there's no arrest, there's no, we did have a guy hit one of our light poles and went on into the brewery instead of telling us about it. That's all been handled. So that's really the only law enforcement related issue. That was, if we bring 10,000 people plus in our town and that's all we have, that's a pretty good day. So we'll take it for sure. Now I talked about Bruce more. Bruce's impact can't be understated. He has been a force for the police department for a long time. And he drives 1 hour each way to work here and has for 12 years. At least 10 of those years he's driven that far. And the last year's been tough. When you get to a certain level of law enforcement, people will start coming after you. And we have had multiple agencies offer him jobs. And so finally his home county and Clay County, they got a deal good enough for him to be willing to make the change. And so he will definitely be missed. I'll tell you, the state of the department is good though. Everybody's really happy that for him, for his family, that's an hour. He gets to sleep longer an hour every morning and he gets to be home with his family an hour sooner every day. So you can't really blame him, but he most certainly will be missed for sure. But morale is still good. I think we're going to be just fine. We're already working on the procedures to get him, to get another person. I almost said replaced. I don't think we can replace Rudy, but we'll get somebody in that position and get him going. And we'll have somebody qualified there, not somebody that we have to teach all over, brand new. So anyway, we definitely appreciate everything that Bruce has done for the town for all these years. I'm just going to hit some of the hot spots since our last report, but we've been interviewing new officers. We've got one vacancy for an officer, and we're on the door of filling that with somebody that's got about 10 years of experience. It looks like so that's going to be a good hire for us. And lots of meetings with department heads and community leaders as usual for lots of different reasons. But we participated in a podcast to honor our child communicators this past Child Communicator Appreciation Month. Our officers have been training on DWI procedures, and as I've told you before, a lot of times our training budget, we try to save those dollars and use them as good as we can. And so we hosted a class and brought about 9 different agencies came to Sylva to do the training, and it lets us send our officers there without having to pay travel and all that kind of thing. So that was good for us. And then one of the most fun things I've done since my time here has been, I was interviewed this month by a 6-year-old for a school project. That was a blast. A little guy named Sebastian, loved that. It was really good. He asked actually really good questions too. Did a presentation on the community care program. Our new K9 handler, K9 Jack. I think most of you probably met him by now. And Cody Ruckart's his handler. We sent him to a particular class for K9 legal issues that specifically deal with issues that when you start talking about dogs and police work. So it's important. I did a presentation at Western Carolina University on the whole department of what we're doing. We participated in Operation Medicine Drop this past month. Folks could turn in unwanted and used prescription medicines instead of throwing it in a trash can or leaving it around for somebody to get a hold of it. And then, of course, we had assault on Black Rock, which was a success. As we were just talking here about earlier. A couple just to run down real quick some of the calls we've had since the last report. We've had, I'm just going to hit down through some of the bigger numbers. We've had about 70 traffic accident investigations, assisted 17 motorists, 60 alarm investigations, about 46 public disturbances or fights, caught that related calls, 18 domestic related calls. Welfare, you guys hear me talk about welfare checks and suspicious person kind of calls. Those, I just did some number crunching. We just compared those numbers for last year, January 1 until now, and this year, January 1 until now. And our check welfare calls are down about 40%. It's a lot. That's a big reduction. And in my opinion, is that is community care working. Those are folks that we're not getting those repeat calls on all the time, multiple calls in one day for the same person. Because we've had some wins in the last few months of getting some folks situated, housed, and not on the street. So that's another one is a suspicious person. They're down about 20%. So I think that's coming from that program. We don't have official word yet. Unofficially, it looks like that grant is approved. So what that means is our community care coordinator will be full-time, placed with us for 3 years full-time, so 40 hours a week. So that's really good. That'll make a big difference in our level of service. We're really excited about that. So 11, we served 11 involuntary commitments. Had a couple missing runaway kids, but obviously they turned out to be fine. About 30 larceny theft related calls, about 25 removed person trespassing kind of related calls, and lots of more other calls. That's just some of the bigger numbers, just to give you an idea of what we've been doing. Any questions at all?
Fire department.
Good morning, all. Right now, I was gonna talk a little bit about our calls that we've had. Like, we're at 448 this year, so it's up from last year about 100, same time period. So we're looking at probably 1,300 calls on your boat. We've had in the medical call side of things, we've had 2 just so far in April that we've had to give them oxygen to CPR type calls. And we've only used Narcan once so far. But then with the PD carries Narcan too. A lot of times they get there before we do and they've already done it. So that's not all that's happening. That's what I'm saying, as far as overdoses go. The fires, we've had 1 structure fire in town and 1 car fire. That's just 1. And we've had 6 before we had to go block the road and that kind of thing. To get the vehicles out of the road and have to be hurt in. And in Alpha County, it's same thing. We've had 2 instances of oxygen, CPR, 1 Narcan, or the deputies carry Narcan too, so they usually have it administered before we get there. We do, or carry it. I really ought to keep up those numbers too, but I don't, as far as law enforcement administered Narcan. They do it to EMS under that. In Alpha County, we've had 2 structure fires and 1 large brush fire this month. That was on that kind of gap the other day. And we've had 7 wrecks where we had to go get people out of cars and that kind of thing. So it's pretty busy. That's not counting all the other calls we're having. You have calls where people think something's on fire, they go and come back. I know that's a good kind of fire call, but it was fire. But you don't know till you go, that's what happens a lot. But as far as since we went paid, our response times are so much better than they were. I know all these heart attacks and things, that's a major deal. I think we can tell you that, quicker you get there, the better it is for their outcome. They've been pretty well. The other thing I might say, I think PD and Jake on agreement come out. They're involved in that too. So it's kind of interesting when you go out in the set, doing the intersection like we were there in front of the fire station. And see all the people coming in town, you don't realize there's that many people around, and you don't want it. You see that happening. Yeah, we probably could have counted cars, I don't know if we had time, to be honest with you. It's amazing that many people got here. So that's all I have, any questions?
I heard on the scanner that brush fire at Mactown in Billsboro, that was impressive. Y'all were running around the houses, making sure the brush didn't, the fire didn't spread to the houses. That was impressive and it was a fast response too.
Yeah, the wind got behind.
It's down to tens at times, yeah.
Yeah.
That was, that was very impressive.
It missed a couple hours.
Yeah.
By a little bit.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks.
Yeah, and I just wanted to point out, I mean, even though PD might get there first, a lot of times, PD will go through all their Narcan and there's no other way, so it's really important that you guys are there too.
Yeah, when we all go together.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a great help. Hope for a great help for them. We try to be. And they couldn't do it without them. It's great to have them.
Did you say 30% more calls this year than?
It's about 100.
100 more calls.
100 more
400. Yeah, so
Like 10.
what do you attribute that to?
Just more people, I guess. Because I can tell you the story back 1995, that's first year I was fire chief. We ran 255 calls all year.
We're at 4 something in the first quarter.
We're at right now 448. Yeah. Well, the district didn't get any larger, so. It's more people, has to be, you know. And I know traffic's a lot more, I know that's, you know.
I can tell you in the police department, we call the fire department more now than we did 2 years ago, for sure. We asked them for help. And adding the paid staff changed the game. It's just so much better now.
Yeah, it's made a real deal.
There's nothing against the volunteer guys before. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they're there. They're in the truck and as soon as the
Well,
call.
when that call came into the brush fire, it wasn't but maybe, I don't know, 20 seconds, 30 seconds later, I heard Mallory call in, I could hear the siren in the fire truck. I mean, it was fast. It
Yeah,
had to be for that one.
that makes a big difference, because like I say, you know, used to, we had to come from home, get a truck. Of course, myself and a couple of us live fairly close, but everybody doesn't live that close, you know? And so it takes a while to come to the station, get the truck rolling, and it's all volunteers. And that's why we get the paid staff that makes such a difference. So now it goes out the door in less than minutes. Used to, it took at least 2-3 minutes to get to the building, that's me. You know, when they go truck out, you go in the building, every time you look at least 5 minutes, tired. Like I said, on a heart attack or something like that 4 minutes can make a big difference, whether they make it or they don't.
Oh, and I was gonna ask, where's what do you guys call it, Old Red or the old timey
Yeah,
one? Yeah, where, did you move it?
oh, it's in the building, you take the truck over.
Oh, the second one, because it was always in that first bay.
Well, that's what we moved that, because that's where we put our first responder.
Oh, okay,
And
cool.
we just
So,
moved it over there in the building.
gotcha. I hadn't seen it. I know it was like.
Yeah, it's still like.
That's good.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Main Street report.
Good morning. It's been a busy month and it's not even over yet. The brew hop was a huge success. We sold 122 tickets and having the social district taster cups and a nice day kind of relieved the congestion in a lot of the breweries. So that was really nice to make it a safer and more pleasant event. And the merchants reported an uptick in sales, so that was really good. And then the Main Street Association had our board retreat facilitated by Sherry Adams from North Carolina Commerce to update our 5-year plan. So Sherry's still in the process of finalizing the plan. The board's putting together their priorities for the next 5 years. So I should have a more detailed report for that a little bit later. And there seems to be consensus regarding a focus on restructuring our design pillar and looking with particular interest at Mill Street and trying to improve that section. Greening up the mountains, again, great success. So appreciative of Mark and Tammy and all the staff. We also had a plethora of volunteers. We appreciate Lisa McBride for coordinating that and all the Main Street committee members, Western Carolina students. I mean, it was huge to be able to have them there. So, and also I'm getting big reports of uptick in sales from our merchants too, which is nice. It's not just the vendors who are there, but the merchants did really well too. Our next core outdoor economy meeting is May 4th at 5 p.m. at Boston Falls Brewing. That's coming along. We have just a couple more meetings and we should have a plan together at that point. And then the project kickoff for NC Growth's co-working feasibility study will start in May. We don't have a date yet, but we just signed the agreement and I'll keep you updated as it progresses. Do you guys have any questions?
I just have a comment. Yeah. I noticed several vendors tell me that this was the friendliest festival that they've ever attended. And I heard that several times. So that's a testament to each of you, making me feel welcome there.
TWASA report. So, TWASA, we're about in the same point in our budget as the town is. We're getting close, but it hasn't been passed yet. So we're working through the details. The only other thing really worth mentioning is we did a rate study and a system development fee study this year, and those are available on our website for people to review and comment on. The system development fee is the rebranding of the impact fee, which you all probably remember from years ago. It was a one-time fee a new business startup had to pay, and it was identified as one of the largest impediments to economic development in the region. And TWASA board essentially reduced that fee to, well, nothing for small residences and businesses, and dramatically reduced it for larger businesses as well, retail. And the state requires a fee study done on that every 5 years, and we had our study done. And of course, the study came back and recommended that we dramatically increase that fee, which was worrisome. But the TWASA staff and the board and the finance committee decided to not listen to that recommendation. So we're keeping those fees still incredibly low, way below the recommended amount and the average amount going forward. So that was good news. But yeah, budgets that gets adopted with the budget, so it's still not passed yet. So if anyone wants to read that stuff and comment on it, we're still taking comments on that. And that's it for TWASA report.
Question.
Yep.
So how do you make up the revenue, the lost revenue? How does TWASA make up that?
So we make it up with the system improvement charge, which is a fee based on the amount of water you use. So one of the issues with the impact fee is, is based on a formula of peak instantaneous flow to replace that allocation in our plant. And the method that we use now is just it's a fee based on per 1,000 gallons of usage. I think it's around $1.30 per 1,000 gallons. So for the average residential user, it's around $4 a month. That fee has always been there. The impact fee didn't supplant that because you can't budget for an impact fee. You have no idea how many new businesses are going to come or how large they are. So that fee had always been in place and would still need to be. The impact fee was really just on top of that and unnecessary. So we just use the system improvement charge for our budgeting for our future capital expenses.
Okay, and so that way it's spreading it out rather than just like hitting someone.
Yep, it spreads it out and it's based on usage. So those who use more, pay more into it, and those who use less, pay less. Yeah.
Makes more sense.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Pinnacle Park report. So the latest news on that, and you all were here for it. It was the town board approving the $50,000 for the master plan. So still need to get the final remaining amount from our third party in that, the county. And now that Jay is back from Creek, he'll be attending the next county meeting and adjusting those funds officially. So that process can move forward. That's all I have on the Pinnacle Park report.
Do you think maybe we should use a little money from that fund to clean out some of these water breaks that Jake was talking about?
We definitely can.
Like kind of a quick fix. We don't have the master plan yet or anything like that, but it seems like that's sort of urgent.
It's gonna be on the master plan.
Right, the thing is that the master plan, part of that is using that plan, which will identify the key maintenance items and use that to apply for a project grant. And so that way, at the most, we'll be paying the matching funds for that grant to do that maintenance. So until that plan comes back, I think what we need to do really is to sort of mitigate those problems as opposed to repair them, because we want to use as much outside money as we can to fix those problems, permanently and long term. So I think
You say mitigate,
just like maintain them, get them cleaned out, maintain to a reasonable
a
level.
little extra help to do that, maybe.
Is that like backhoe work or is that?
Yeah, you back probably backhoe on one side and the track hoe on the other side, with the idea to meet in the middle, just scoop those brakes out and, hauling the silt out isn't really an option, so we'll need to look into doing something with it where it won't end up in the creek.
Yeah, so we can discuss those things, in a meeting we have. Yeah, welcome to join us as well. We can put on that. But yeah, we'll be looking at, you know, your workflow for the summer, the time to do that, if that's something in contract. It's, yeah, how to tackle those issues in the meantime, so we get grant funding to do much more extensive rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it for reports. New business, there is nothing on there, so we moved it up really quickly. Last thing is a closed session, so if someone could make a motion to go into closed session, pursuant to that general statute listed in the packet. If anyone has it, if not, I can give it to them. Okay.
Pursuant to general statute 143-318-11A3, make a motion that we consult the attorney.
Closed session. Any discussion on that? Motion? All those in favor? Back. Yes.